There you go. This meeting is being recorded by the host or participant. Okay. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham Om.
Did unmute yourself.
Yeah, yes, I am unmuted. Okay, good. Welcome. I'm having trouble with the let's see here. Where is this? Oh, excuse me. We're just it's technical stuff, and we changed that's the wrong one. I got the wrong program here. Turn that off. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. So I was trying to, this is for new people. The old people, fine, great. This is on the Satsang Dharma. So those of you who are all knowledgeable on this topic needn't pay attention, or you can if you want, either way. So these weekly satsangs are by donation, and donation doesn't mean free. And from now on, we're only going to teach people who donate. However, if you're new, you can attend without donating for 1 month to see what Vedanta has to offer. If you're coming because it's free, or you're just bored and lonely and want to connect with Vedanta people, please look for another Sangha. Although most neo-teachers charge these days, I'm told, there are probably needy teachers who interpret attention as love and who don't charge. So you can get a free satsang there if you want. The minimum Shining World donation is $10 or euros, whatever your currency is, per session. If you make a recurring monthly donation on the website, you can gain access to all seminars and archives. And if you value what we do, you will donate regularly. We'll value you more because you're putting your money where your mouth is. If you value your own spiritual growth, then you will donate regularly, because the heart that gives gathers. If you're a getter and not a giver, you're not going to grow, and you're not going to get free if you're not growing. So you're going to grow into freedom, into the freedom that is your nature. And if you don't donate after the grace period, we'll block you. So nothing sentimental about it. We'll just block you. To understand the benefits of our donation philosophy and set up a regular donation, you can click here. The link is here. It's on the shiningworld.com donation button on the webpage. Please read the donation philosophy. Well, this is something you should think about, because it's an integral part of your spiritual practice. And again, for those the regular people, and there are many people who do presently give regularly and generously on a monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, or annual basis according to their means. They obviously do that, or we wouldn't have been able to reach so many people with this message, because thousands of people read the website. And so we know very well that that this is working, and by the grace of the generosity of a very small fraction of the people who actually listen, and these people are welcome to attend. So become one of those people, and get with it. You'll like yourself a lot, I tell you, if you do. Okay. Let's see, save, just I want to save that, but I want to get rid of it. Okay, now, I couldn't, I want to say thank you again for, because my self-esteem was, as I pointed out last week, my self-esteem was pretty low, because I thought, well, there's all these people watching and nobody's, ponying up. They must just, just find this kind of entertainment or something. I don't know what, because, as I just said, you need to demonstrate your commitment to your growth and to the truth by contributing. That's an active thing. Not obviously the attitudes were good. Everybody says thank you, and that's fine. Talk's cheap though. So, put your money where your mouth is and donate. So now I see, gee, there's a lot of people. The donations were very good. And thank you very much. And I'm feeling kind of perky and kind of happy and thinking, well, maybe I am doing a pretty good job after all. So anyway, enough on that topic. I got an email this week from one of our people. And she suggested that I teach a text tonight. I'll do it we'll just take our time and do it. It's called Sadhana Panchakam. And Sadhana Panchakam means the 5 practices, because just as you have to put your money where the mouth is in anything in life, really, particularly in Vedanta, you need to implement what you know or believe or think or feel. But before you do that, you need to know what you need to know. So there are 5 verses in this. We'll just do this text. It's by Adi Shankaracharya, and it's a required understanding. It's the big picture. It's the 5 stages. That's why Panchakam means 5. So this is the 5 stages or 5 phases or the 5 levels or the 5 steps. Or steps is it's sometimes called Sopana Panchakam. Sopana Panchakam. Sopana means steps or stages, levels of spiritual growth. Because this teaching is for the individual. The individual is going to grow from, well, you'll see what the donation, what the destination is. It's going to grow from what? A limited to a limitless entity. And that's entirely possible because you're already a limitless entity. So we'll discuss that in the course of this text. So the first, and we'll just do 3 verses tonight. The other 2, if we get through them, otherwise we'll have to do them later, next week or the following week or after the holidays or whenever. We'll sort that out toward the end, at the end of this session. So we're just doing the 3 verses because they cover the 3 basic steps. The other 2 are more or less additional information. So we're going to get the 3 basic steps, which are basically 5 steps. You'll see as we go, or 5 stages. You can break this down any way you want it to, and I'm trying to keep it simple. So verse 1 and this relates to the general scheme of Vedic caste system. Caste system is a bad word. Sorry to use it. Castes are actually guna driven originally in the Vedas. They were not hereditary. And so, these stages that we're talking about here apply generally to the caste system. Now, India is not the only place that has a caste system or class system. Every society has a caste system because every society is made up of nothing but these 3 gunas. And it's the gunas that determine, the gunas are your swadharma, and they are your swabhava, your nature, however you're made by Ishvara when you come here. And they determine your swadharma, in other words, what you do. And so the first stage, and these are stages of life as well. So the first stage is the student phase. The first thing you do when after you get a brain, after a couple of years, your brain, your intellect starts to work. You start to differentiate and discriminate a little bit from your parents and so forth and so on. And you start getting educated. And but this Vedanta education is, and education is an interesting word. It comes from the Latin word educare. Educare means to lead out, and to lead, and a means leading out. So leading out of what? Well, leading out of ignorance. It fits perfectly into the whole Vedanta idea, because the issue is one of what? Removing our ignorance of our wholeness and completeness. So in the first stage, I need to know, I need to think of myself, if you're even vaguely qualified for Vedanta, and everybody actually is to some degree, because everybody wonders at some point in their life whether or not they, in other words, why they're here. Well, what am I doing here in this strange, weird meat tube, this body, and what should I be doing, and why am I chasing these objects which just proves, as you know, from those of you know who have been studying Vedanta for a while, the pursuit of these things these experiences that we do in life, security, pleasure, virtue, power, fame, so forth and so on, those are all not what we really want. What we really want is what? Freedom from the desire, freedom from the wants, freedom from the fears and the desires that bother us. Those are proxies for our true want. So everybody here is actually a seeker of freedom. That's the point. And the problem is that seeking freedom in what appears as reality to ordinary people is that the field in which you're doing these actions is a zero-sum field. That's, in other words, it's a dualistic field. And what does that mean? That means for every upside, there's a downside. If getting something implies ungetting, right? That's what duality means. If you get something, you're going to unget it. There's a downside to that. And that's just your own experience. If you haven't experienced that yet, then you're really basically unaware of your relationship to life and what life is. You're so egocentric, you're so self-centered that you haven't figured out that you can't win here. And so you keep trying to game the system to make it work for you. You think maybe I just got the wrong object or whatever. So, and that for example, just in a relationship, you say, I wanted you once, but now I want to get rid of you. Your feelings change and what? And you need to feel that you need to change the object or get rid of the one object and gain a new object. And so what does this verse say? It says that there's an absolute, for Vedanta to work for you, there's an absolute need to know the defects of seeking happiness in experiences, in objects. Objects means experiences, discrete experiences we call objects in Vedanta. And there are three problems with seeking happiness in experience for happiness or pleasure. Happiness is mixed with unhappiness, or pleasure is mixed with pain. So that's one problem. Acquiring produces what? Dissatisfaction, right? In other words, the more I get what I want, the more I get what I want, the more I want. Now, obviously, that's not what I want, is it? What I want is not what I want. I want to get rid of the want. But I do get rid of the want when I get what I want, but the want returns immediately. See how that works? It's a zero sum. I get rid of it, but then it comes back. So and so that going in that loop of vasana, kama, karma, in other words, desires desires, actions, and vasanas produce what? Desires, actions, and vasanas. You just keep going round and round and round, thinking each time you engage in a new action, a new pursuit, you gain or lose something. Well, what do? You find yourself doing that same thing over and over and over again. Now, this is not rocket science, but it's really, really difficult to admit to yourself. This is what verse 1 is saying, what Shank was saying. It's really, really difficult to admit to yourself that the way you're approaching life is unworkable. And the lesson you need to draw before you can move to the next phase. See, this is what you need to be. This is the education. This is your whole education. Let's say in the student phase, when you're a student, when you're young. Yeah, and there's people who stay young until they're 50, 60, 70 years old. They have gray hair, but they haven't learned anything yet. They're still out there in grade school or kindergarten trying to figure out how this works. So we're not talking a chronological age here. We're talking maturity. So a person who starts to get mature, I know I noticed that I was getting mature about 20, when I was about 27, 28. I can almost remember exactly where I was physically in the world when that happened. Then that thought came to me. I thought, oh, you're a grown-up. Oh, you're a young adult. Oh, that's interesting. Because up until that time, I was just a big baby, just chasing stuff like crazy, and having a good time and going up and down and around with lots of pleasure and lots of pain. Yeah. And suddenly I started to see, and it was during that time or shortly after that Vedanta came to me. I got to India and so forth and so on. You may know the story if you read my autobiography or heard some of me talking about so forth and so on. So the first verse is called the student phase. In the Vedic system, it's called brahmacharya. Brahmacharya doesn't mean celibacy, it means wandering in Brahman, wandering in reality is what it means. Acharya means to wander, learning, trying to figure out what reality is. We're not talking, we're talking the apparent reality, but that's reality for most people most of the time, is what's happening to them and what they're doing and what's happening to them. So verse 1 is simply the fundamental qualification, which allows me what? To understand that, or to convert, let's put it this way, to convert my desire to have experiences and objects into a desire to what? Understand what reality is. Why am I here? What am I doing here? How does this thing work? Now, if you can resonate or relate to what I'm saying here, then you're out of the education phase. You don't need any more education on this topic. You're going to need education on the following topic, because you're always learning here. Obviously, you're always being led out of a problem. Now, in the second stage, it's not learning that the world's a zero sum. It's what? Implementing the knowledge that you learned in life, that you learned about life. In other words, implementing this knowledge that what? That I am what I seek. Let's put it that way. Because if there's no joy in objects, then the joy's got to be coming from me. Because there's only, in duality, there's only two things, a subject and an object. That's what duality means. A subject and an object means two things. And if I can eliminate the objects as a source of joy, by default, the joy has to be in me. Now I know that, and that's our first teaching. The joy is not in the objects, the joy is in yourself. We call it the Purusharthas, the basic teaching. It's in both of my books, Essence of Enlightenment and How to Attain Enlightenment. That's the first chapter. And so that's what I need to know. Now, let's say I know that. Then how am I going to implement that knowledge? In other words, talk's cheap. You could say, I know how to shoot a basketball. You take it in your hands and you throw it at the hoop. Okay, good. That's right. That's good knowledge. Yes, we agree. Yes, that's how you shoot a basketball. Now let's see you do it. The knowledge isn't going to do itself. That's the thing about knowledge. Knowledge is inert. It's not going to do itself. So I'm going to have to do it and see how that works and see if it works and how to do it. It's not as easy as you think to shoot a basketball. So many things that seem quite simple intellectually, on the intellectual level, are not that easy at all. And implementing this knowledge that I'm whole and complete, limitless, non-dual, actionless, ordinary, unconcerned, unborn, ever full, blissful awareness, implementing that little piece of knowledge, that's a grunt. So, don't think you're going to get away just because we're talking the path of knowledge. Don't think it's going to be easy. It's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. Why? Because it's really counterintuitive. It's not backed by much experience. A few epiphanies here and there may have softened me up as to that particular fact, but it's not, generally, I don't feel that way at all. Generally, I feel small and inadequate and incomplete. And I believe that there's something, I'm sitting around waiting for something to happen or trying to make something happen that's going to make me okay. So So the second stage is the householder phase, and that's the implementation phase or the karma yoga phase. So we move what? Now, what is karma yoga? Karma yoga means I need a provisional identity, not my identity as consciousness, existence, shyness, consciousness. That's way too much at this stage. Remember the conversation that Arjuna and Krishna have in the Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna tells Arjuna, you're don't worry, you're not going to kill anything, and even if you do, nothing's actually done, and you're not, even if you think you're killing, you're not killing, and so forth and so on. And Arjuna's just sitting there, yes, boss, yeah, he sort of has a feeling that he's already surrendered to Krishna, so he's just at his wit's end, and so he's listening, but it's just not going in. And Krishna sees it's not going in, so Krishna says, "Oh, I've taught." He doesn't look down on Arjuna. That's the beauty of Vedanta. We don't look down on you because you don't get it. We help you to qualify to get it. And so, karma yoga is going to qualify you to understand what you need to understand, to actualize or implement this knowledge. So Krishna says to Arjuna there, Krishna represents the teacher and the teachers. Krishna is a teacher in the teaching, and you're going to need a teacher for this. We'll talk about that in verse 3 coming up. And he says here, he said, therefore, Arjuna, be a karma yogi. He says, you need karma yoga. I taught you about the self and all that, and now I need to teach you about yoga. And he tells you, what does the yoga do? It removes what? It removes the fears and the desires that is causing the problem that we talked about in the first stage, in the student phase. Karma yoga removes the fears and the desires. We think that experiences are going to remove the fears and the desires, but what? But that doesn't work. Karma yoga works to remove the fears and the desires. Karma yoga's got a limitation too, but it solves the preceding problem. There's going to be another problem come up in a minute. Karma that we're going to need another yoga to deal with, but in the meantime, I need to think of myself as a karma yogi, and what does a karma yogi do? A karma yogi means it has when you take a new identity, you have a new series of duties. When you become a mother, then you're no longer, you have a new series of duties. Maybe you have some of the old duties there, but when the baby pops out of your womb, you become a mother, or even when it starts to grow in your womb, you have certain duties that you have to do to bring that little bundle of awareness into life. So karma yoga is called nishkama karma. It means there are certain compulsory duties that produce spiritual growth that don't depend upon your likes and dislikes, but are based on the Vedas. Understand? You need to wholeheartedly do things that are required of you, but not only by the karma yoga, and what those things are told in the Vedas. The Vedas mean the karma kanda of the Vedas, the section of the Vedas that deals with dharma. Karma kanda is called a dharma shastra. The section on action is called a section on dharma. And there it's told how people behave, how you're supposed to behave if you're a mother, a father, a doctor, a lawyer, a baker, a butcher, a candlestick maker. It doesn't matter. That's all laid out there. Every single swadharma that's available for human beings is explained in the Veda. So, so, and they're telling you to do certain things, whether you like it or not. It's like paying taxes. Does anybody like paying taxes? Well, I don't know. Maybe some people do. I did. Knew a man who enjoyed it. Good for him, you know. But most everybody doesn't like paying taxes, but we're not worried about paying taxes now. Obviously, you should pay your taxes, but what we're worried about is there's 5 things I need to, and I hate to tell you this word, I'm sorry, but I'm the guy that has to I bring really good news, but I also bring the bad news. So I'm not trying to get famous. I'm not trying to be loved and liked by you. So I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear necessarily, although there are people who do want to hear this, and hopefully you do want to hear it. But so I use the word sacrifices because when you give something, you lose something, isn't it? But is that loss actually a loss? Is it a sacrifice? No, a sacrifice is a gain. And what are those 5 sacrifices? We talked about it many, many times. One is you need to worship God, because God's your primary caregiver, always, because God brought you here and supplies you with the equipment you need to do what you need to do, and supplies the world in which you need to do it, and organizes and orchestrates everything. So you better worship God if you want God on your side. And if you want to have a happy life, you need to do that. And you need to worship your parents, your ancestors. Why? Because you're grateful for the fact that you actually exist. You do exist here. Your body, it exists here, and your body is very important to you, and the fact that your body functions is very important to you. And so what? So and that problem, worshiping your mother and father and seeing that and your grandparents and so on back, because they just got what they got from their parents and so forth and so on. Right? What'll it do? It'll just remove all of those resentments and injustices that you've suffered at the hands of your, alcoholic mom and your workaholic dad, and who co-abused you and neglected you, and all the grievances are going to go away, because you should be grateful that they actually brought you here, because this is the only place you're going to be able to actualize your freedom in this human body. It's a great blessing to have one, and you should be glad for that. You should worship the rishis. That's me. The people who see. That's Sundari. That's Swamiji. That's Swami P. That's Swami D. That's Swami C. All of these people. These are rishis. Rishi means people who see, who know, who have heard the truth and know what it is. And because without them, you're not going to get this knowledge. That's all. You need it. You will see later on in the next verse, explains what it is. And so what? You should do social service. That means people. You see, because our view is that everything is God. There isn't anything that isn't God. And so people are God. And what? And so in your relationship with people, you should acknowledge their divinity and serve them. Every day, people want something from you, and you should think, I'm serving God here, and I'm happy to do it. That's a duty to me. I'm not getting what I necessarily want based upon my likes and dislikes, but God is asking me what? God is asking me, who is God, to what? To serve. So I serve. And what? And then what? Environmentalism. Big one now, big issue right now. Both the last two, social service and environmentalism are big issues. Recycling, taking care of the planet, plants and animals. It's called Bhuta Yajna. Yajna means a sacrifice or contribution. And what? So I need to put energy into what? Saving the planet. So I'm saving dust. Well, yesterday I was crawling on top of the roof because a whole bunch of dust that came from the Sierra in what we call a Kalima, this great big dust storm came here, and deposited all that Sahara dust on the top of a veranda we had and I scraped it all off and saved it because it's like the essence of the desert, and the plants love it. You have no idea. If those plants could speak, they are speaking. They're saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And something just shooting up and growing like you wouldn't believe it. Within a couple of days, you'd suddenly see, you notice this plant that was just kind of sitting there doing not much. And suddenly, because of that, because I fed it that essence of the most refined part of the sand or the earth element, those plants just sparkled. They were just so happy. So those 5 are niche. Those you should do, whether you want to or not, whether you like it or not, do it. Right? That's called implementing. Just stop whining, stop complaining, stop trying to get the edge, figure ways out. Stop being lazy, just do it. So then the second one is sakarma karma. And what is that? That's what we traditionally call karma yoga. In other words, sacrificing the fruits of the action, of desire prompted action. You got your desires, fair enough, but you don't have control over the results. So you might as well, before you even get into doing the action, you might as well just in your mind offload the result to what? To Ishwara, to God, to the field, whatever you want, and act with a calm mind when the next desire comes up and demands attention and action. That's called karma yoga. Karma. It's karma yoga with desire. What's that going to do? It's going to give me a quiet mind. And then another form of nishkama karma is what? Finally, in the second stage of karma yoga, it's standing up to your desires, not acting them out with a karma yoga attitude, but what? Just say no. That's implementing. Okay, now that's hard. That's the second stage is harder. Most people don't even get to that stage. Some people stop. A lot of people stop at the first stage when they get a little bit of success at it. They start feeling okay, and things start working, because things will start working if you relieve your anxiety. Now this is just psychology. This is just our therapy, Vedanta therapy. Now, but that doesn't mean, when your life is going good, you don't have desires. You still have desires. The desires are there. When the last desire goes, your body drops and it puts you in the grave. That's it. So in the next stage of karma yoga, what? You stand up the desire and say, I can do without it. I don't need it. I am full and complete. I'm whole. I am what I want. I'm good. Thank you. Forget it. And you what? You take control of your mind. That pesky mind. So that's verse 1. Okay. Now, verse 2. This is called wandering in the forest. What is wandering in the forest? In the Vedic system, once you've got the student phase and you've done your karma yoga, that's the householder phase. You had a family, you had a job, kids, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then when a certain time comes, usually it's in the 40s, maybe mid 40s, sometimes a little earlier, sometimes a little later, but you drop out. You will drop out. We call it forest wandering. And this is where you implement now. You continue to implement. What do? You do this, we call it upasana yoga or discipline. Okay? And it's based or presupposes the quiet, spiritually oriented mind that let's put it this way, a quiet, spiritually oriented mind with a desire for freedom, that what needs to be converted into an intense desire for freedom. We call it mumukshu, to a burning desire for freedom. Because as long as you got other desires to it, your path is going to take a long, long time. You get a little spurt, and then another desire leads you off to this path, and you go down that for a year or two, and then you'll say, oh, that doesn't work. That's zero sum. I got to get back and do some more moksha, and then you'll make a few steps forward, and then what? Another desire will lead you off this way, and you find or over there, whatever it is, and you keep what? So you want to eliminate that. You want to keep that desire channeled into this one focused or channeled to this one idea, freedom. We call it moksha, freedom. Now you're already free, but what? But their desires are what? Telling you you're not free. So I've got to work with the part of myself that says I'm not free. That's all. And I've got to gain control of it. Before it was anxiety we're getting rid of. Now we're getting rid of what? A wandering mind that wanders, right? And how do you implement? Now here's the knowledge you need for this stage. Again, you're learning here. You're always learning. It says, how do you implement that stage? One, by associating with wise people, not worldly people. And what? And taking up a yogic lifestyle that actualizes your 6 inner powers. What are those 6 inner powers? I explain them in detail and carefully in the power of know, which is my text, my scripture on what? On the similarity and differences of Vedanta. Either way, that based upon the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and the power of know says you can either focus on the chakras, which normally in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras they talk about, right? Or and the Patanjali Yoga Sutras also says you can focus on Ishvara, which is what Vedanta says. Let's just focus on Ishvara, because Ishvara is a higher category than those 6 qualities, or those 8 qualities, or those 8 states of experience. But that doesn't presuppose developing developing those powers. And what are those powers? One, how to control your mind. If you can't control your mind, how to control your senses. At least if you stop the action, you won't produce the result. You'll get a mental result if you can't control your mind, which is you'll be frustrated or agitated. How to restrain the mind, pull the mind back. We call that pratyahara, drawing or restraining the mind. Standing up to the pinpricks of life, we call that titiksha. Titiksha means forbearance. This, you look at it now, you see what happened. He says, this is a big one for the modern age. Everybody's a whiner. The smallest little things people whine about. Just the most petty, trivial, useless, dumb shit. People are like whining and complaining about, oh, he didn't this, oh, she didn't. Listen, life's a bitch. Suck it up, Get on with it. If you don't have that attitude, you're never going to grow here. And then what? That's number 3. Then 4, faith. Faith is what? Faith, pending the result of investigation. If you don't, what? If you can't accept this teaching and this path, if you can't accept it, then there's no point, in doubting it. Now, normally faith is a problem because what? Faith, generally, there's blind faith. What? It's built upon not knowing. It's built upon not investigating. Right? So what do? Well, we give you a means for investigating what we say. That's in the next verse. That's called knowledge yoga. In the third verse, where we come to knowledge yoga or Vedanta, we supply you with a method which will allow you to what? See if what we say is true or not. I don't want you to believe me. I mean, you can believe me, but it's still, if you believe me, it still isn't your knowledge. It's got to be you've got to what? You've got to apply the methodology, the teaching, the means of knowledge, and see if it's true, if what we say is true or not. In fact, I don't want you to believe me. Understand? So faith is faith, and then what? And then bhakti. Bhakti is just devotion, one-pointed, single-pointed devotion, which Patanjali calls, what's he called? Not nirvana. That's Buddhist. Samadhi. Yeah, samadhi. Samadhi means what? Single-pointed samadhi. The intellect what? Sees everything equally. Means, huh? Yeah, nirvikalpa samadhi. Right? Savikalpa samadhi is with the thinking, with thoughts, and then nirvikalpa is without. So that's yoga. First karma yoga, then what? Then upasana yoga. Upasana yoga is implementing what? The teachings. That's a meditation. Dhyanam is one of the stages of Patanjali. That's called meditation, but it's not meditating on a chakra, on a feeling. It's meditating on what? On the knowledge, I am whole and complete, and holding one's attention on that consistently. That's called samadhana. That's another one of the qualifications. Samadhana means extending the meditation period longer and longer and longer, because some of this teaching is a logical teaching, right? And you can't prove the existence of God except indirectly, but we can use logic to what? Get rid of ignorance, because ignorance is the problem. So that's verse 2. Verse 3 is what? Knowledge yoga. And what is knowledge yoga? A teacher is required. There are no exceptions to this. Because if you could read your way or do your way to the self, then there'd be no need for Vedanta. And what? And Vedanta requires a teacher. That's it. This does not work without a teacher. We'll get to whether you like a teacher or not in that. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. This is this is a quick and easy path if what? If you understand it, and if if you're a qualified person. And what is now? If a qualified person means you've fulfilled these, you doing your karma yoga, and you're what? And you're implementing this knowledge in a daily basis as best you can on your own. And then you're like, we know you're learning, we know you are humble, and we know you can't figure it out on your own. So then we're happy to help you, because we know you put your money where your mouth is, and you're a good person. That's called a sadhu. Sadhu means a good person in India, the word sadhu. It doesn't mean some weird guy with his hair all up and, smoking a chillum in the Ganges banks or whatever it is. That's not what sadhu means. But if you need to be qualified, the teacher needs to be qualified. And what is a teacher? What is a qualified teacher? It's somebody who's what? Who's established in Brahman. In other words, who knows, who can say with full confidence, without any arrogance at all, and know exactly what it means, can say, I am what? Whole and complete, actionless, unborn, existent, shining as ever full, blissful awareness. Now, there are people who know that who are not qualified to teach Vedanta. They can inspire you. They can provide a role model for you, something to aspire to. They can inspire you and cause you to aspire to become like them because they're beautiful people. But what? But they don't. They're not capable of teaching properly because you're already free. So, and seeing another free being doesn't make you free. It excites your interest in freedom, obviously, and can be helpful, inspirationally to get you to motivate you to do the work. But what? But a Shrotriya is somebody who can wield the teachings carefully, consistently, according to the methodology. And that methodology is based upon the unexamined logic of your own experience. In other words, we're going to teach you something that you already know, but you don't know, that you've forgotten. And bring that, what's in you, out so you can see it. Oh, this is me. That's cool. Right? And here's the reason why. You need to say why it is you're free. It says, and so this, see how this is all tied in together. It's all just woven into this beautiful system. This is why you need to serve the teacher, because you can't read your way to freedom, and you need someone who can point out the inconsistencies in your thinking, and the hypocrisy that's involved in the application of this knowledge. Because a lot of people are claiming it, but they're not actually what? They're not actually there. In other words, there's no they're there, right? They're fakers. And what do I know if I have blind faith? If I have blind faith and somebody says that, and I just hand over my life to a person like that, you're asking for trouble. You're a fool. It's like these people that handed over these billions of dollars to this what was his name? What's that guy's name?
Dan Bankman-Fried.
Oh yeah, Daniel Bankman-Fried. Sam, yeah. SBF, he was called. Samuel Bankman-Fried. And they handed over billions of dollars, and he was just doing with what he wanted to do with it. Nobody even actually looked into it. Smart people. They just said, oh, because they were so blinded by this idea of getting rich, right, in an easy way, and just keep growing, and getting more and more rich and becoming billionaires or whatever it is, that they didn't do their due diligence and they got it. So they lost their shirt. He lost $8 billion of other people's money. That's a lot of money. So you need somebody who can wield this mean knowledge and point out your problems for you, not in a bad way, in a good way, and supply the logic, the scripture-based logic that does the job. So that person is just skillful at doing this particular thing. It just has it's swadharma. Teaching is a swadharma. I happen to have that teaching. My mother was a teacher, and my brother was a teacher, and so it was just built into the family. And but faith, as I said, I need to have faith in the teaching, so because this is hard because it contradicts my experience. There's no logic to my experience, because my experience tells me that I'm not free at all. My experience tells me I'm small, inadequate, incomplete. I need this, I want that, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that, so forth and so on. So this service to the teacher, and we talked about that, is by by surrendering to the teacher. Now, that doesn't mean doing what the teacher says, because the teacher's not like a big boss that's telling you what to do. The teacher makes suggestions. And the teacher can tell if you implement those suggestions or if you ignore them. I make lots of suggestions that most people ignore, but the few people who are qualified, and there's always some people, and there's actually quite a few people in this Sangha now who are qualified and who actually take the suggestions. Oh, imagine that. Anyway, so service to the teacher protects you because you can see if the teacher walks the talk. In other words, it's good to hang around with these people to see if they're actually real or not. And the teacher can tailor the teaching to the student, because the student's there presenting his or her ignorance. The teacher knows, because he's walked through the whole thing and understands the whole process. He can tell you, hey, this is where you hung up. This is what you missed. This is what you need to do, so forth and so on. It's up to you, but this is, this is my own experience. Scripture says so. So we just offer it to you. And if you start to dislike a teacher because they tell you they happen to tell you the truth, which you should really want. You should really want to know the truth. But if the truth is too hard for you, then you will start to dislike the teacher. And that's okay. That's good. Why? Because then you can go and find a teacher who tells you what you want, tells you what you need to hear, or what you think you need to hear. Because there's a lot of teachers out there that do that, particularly if you kiss their royal butts and hand them money or sleep with them or whatever it is whatever the transaction they think justifies their teaching, whatever that is. And there's not, anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. So, and so the teacher gets sick and tired of people. I very, very rarely, I have great patience, but I've developed I liked him quite a bit, and I developed a dislike for him in the last couple of years, and I just finally just wrote him off. I just refused to talk to him anymore because he was contentious and he wanted to argue. And his attitude, he wanted to prove to me that he was right and that I was wrong. And I can be wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. There's nothing right with being right either. Huh? But a person like me, you don't want to piss me off. What's the point? Right? Yeah, so and if you do, then move on. And I'm happy to move on and talk to people and help people that like me. Yeah, duh. Where there's a kind of basic rapport where somebody's not trying to game me. I'm the last guy you should try to convince of something. I think for myself, and I've got my, that's the way I am. So anyway, so the benefit of disliking your teacher and a teacher disliking you is what? I know this sounds weird. I understand this. It sounds weird, but this is Vedanta. The benefit of mutual dislike is that neither person wastes any time. You shouldn't waste your time with a person who you don't like, and whoever you are, your teacher or a student. So, so get on with it. Just walk away. So, and the only reason you would the only reason you would argue with a teacher is because you believe that that enlightenment is some kind of special experience that's available through different techniques. And there is no different technique. And Vedanta is not a technique. There's only one problem. If there's only one problem, there's only one solution. You can't have, there's only one solution for one problem. And what is that? Ignorance is the problem, and knowledge is the solution. And knowledge is produced by logic, which you are incapable of applying to your own mind. So you should hang around with these people and keep going until it starts to click in your mind and it starts to work. That's how I did it. I just listened to my teacher over and over again. I just sat there for 2 years, every day, morning till night, hour after hour after hour, and just until it click, 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 click. It just starts to click. That's all. It wasn't rocket science. It was hard. It was great, but it was hard. Because your mind wanders. My mind was pretty well controlled, and I knew very well that I only wanted moksha, so it wasn't bad. But if you haven't gathered the rays of your mind and focused them into this one topic, then it's going to be very hard. And in fact, you'll never actually get to that stage. And so anyway, that's an introduction to verse 3. And now what is verse 3? Verse 3 is knowledge is what? You know this. We've talked about this many times. Although there are new people who don't know what it is, so I'll just explain it shortly. Is Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. And that means listening, resolving doubts that are created by the teaching, right? And what? And assimilating the knowledge, I am whole and complete. And so what is there are three phases, three stages in knowledge yoga. The first stage, remember, first stage in the whole spiritual path is what? Is the student phase, karma yoga, right? The implementing of that. And then what? The second phase is upasana yoga, controlling your mind, developing your mind, qualifying yourself, right? That's yoga, gaining mastery of your mind. And the third stage is what? Knowledge yoga. And then knowledge yoga has three stages. And what? The first one's listening. The second one is what? Resolving the doubts that are what? Caused by listening. Because this is, provocative. We're provoking you. And what? And then assimilating the knowledge. So what? And what is the knowledge? What? Knowledge, the listening that you gain during listening, knowledge of jiva. What is jiva? 5 sheaths. I haven't got time to run through those sheaths right now, because I'm just presenting the big picture. And then what? B, jiva is the 5 sheaths. That means the individual. That means people. That means you, the person. Okay? I need to know what this you, the person is. I need to know what it physically, emotionally, intellectually, etc. I need to know who that person is, what that person is. And 2, what? Knowledge of Ishvara and its 3 bodies. Because that's the other side. One is the jiva, the individual, and what? And Ishvara. Both of them are conscious entities. The jiva is conscious and Ishvara is conscious. Ishvara is what? 3 bodies. What is the 3 bodies? The macrocosm. The macrocosm. Macrocosm means the totality of all what? Of all desires and of all actions and of all what? Tendencies. Vasana, kama, karma. Those 3. Ishvara produces the vasanas, the kama, and the karma. And jiva, what? With its 3 bodies, is always interacting with Ishvara in this way. And 3, what's the third point? Then what do we do in Vedanta? We prove that what? That Ishvara and jiva, that God and the individual, are non-different. That's what identity means. There's no difference between the 2. And what is that? What is that statement? Pure existence, which is Ishvara, that means all the inert objects, the material portion of reality. And pure consciousness, what? That means jiva, right? Are non-different. You know this, or if you don't, you'll learn this. If you're new, you'll learn it. If you have been studying Vedanta properly and carefully for a while, you will know this, and you'll know why. And so what? Through systematic analysis, that's all Vedanta is. It's an application of knowledge. We call it jnana abhyasa, the practice or the application of knowledge, the implementation of knowledge, and that is a systematic analysis which you will pick up and you will become yours if you're listening properly. We discover that what? Consciousness is the essence of the individual, existence is the essence of the world, i.e. Ishvara, and that consciousness and existence are non-different. I can't, do you exist unless you know you exist? What's the answer? No. Tell me what you are. Tell me what you don't know. You can't, because as soon as you tell me what you don't know, you know it. And can you what? Know something unless you exist? No. So existence and consciousness are the same. They're non-different. And that leads to what conclusion? And this is all moksha is. Everything is me, myself. Unborn existence shining as what? Ever full, conscious, ever full bliss. Bliss means being, satisfaction. I am completely satisfied. I am satisfaction itself. Now, where did this whole thing start? See how during this whole process, what? This whole process generated the exact opposite knowledge in me. What is the exact opposite? Where did I start? I'm looking for pleasure. Life is really tough. I was born in this bad family and this sad situation. I was born here on earth. I don't belong here on earth. I'm from a different planet. I have the wrong body. Blah 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 blah. What? And by subjecting yourself to this teaching, in total, where do you come? Everything's me. And you're going to say, I'm fine. The world is non-different from me. Nobody can take me away from me. Nothing, the world can't take me away from me. Nothing can take me away from me. I stand alone. I'm free. So that's Sadhana Panchakam. And if we're going to take like 10 minutes, huh?
No, we're going to do Q&A. It's a really, really helpful stage.
Oh, it's okay. So Sundari says, "Well, okay, let's do Q&A. Do you need to break, or do you have any questions? Because if you have questions, we can take those questions now. You can put them in the chat." Or if you're just overwhelmed, that's that's cool too. I did, huh?
No question.
There's no question. Yeah, there shouldn't be really, because it totally. You see that? How can you argue with this? I mean, where are you gonna? What are you gonna argue about? Do we find the text in Shining World? Yeah, that's yes. I don't. I haven't posted. What I'll do is this. Here's what I'll do. I posted this. What I said tonight. I posted this on the website in the satsang section. I just posted it 10 minutes before we started. So the whole talk is there. The outline of the talk. I embellished it a little bit, add a little bit, but basically that's it. Now, where did this come from? This came from a transcript of Swami Paramarthananda's teaching. And it's called Sadhana Panchakam. It's Shankar, I mentioned, it's Shankar's 5 verses on what? On what you can do. This is for the doer. Right? And what you can do to what? Actualize, to realize and actualize your freedom. Because you're free, you're beautiful. Your nature's love. We didn't even get into the love side of it. But it doesn't matter, because freedom equals non-dual love. Non-dual love means what? I don't depend upon anybody else for love. I realize what? That I am love. You need to be able to say that, not I want love or whatever it is. You don't say I am love. Love is me, right? That's the the conclusion that you're going to come to. So I will post that. I'll put that on Google Drive with a link and make it available to the public. And the copy that I'm posting, I've saved you a lot of trouble, because I tell you, you will never read it, the whole thing. It's better just to read this. But if you want to see that I'm not bullshitting you, and if you actually are interested in the Sanskrit and the more details on it, then the copy is a transcript, a very good transcript by one of Swami P's obviously self-actualized disciples, because there's no mistakes in it. It's absolutely excellent. The language is needs a little something. There's tons of Sanskrit in it, transliterated Sanskrit, mind you. But I'll post that there, and what I've done is I've just underlined the English parts that are relevant, that I've abstracted from that text and put and it's explained to you tonight. Okay, Michael. Hi, Michael. I don't have a question. That's fine. Yeah, you don't have to have a question. You can participate. You can say what you think if you like. I don't have a question. I just think that I need a personal coaching about how to implement karma yoga, so that it works for me in such a way that it actually creates sattva and doesn't only remove anxiety and worries. Okay. Make an appointment and a small donation, whatever you can afford, to me, and I'll talk to you. Well, I'll give you an hour. Sometimes it goes 2 hours, however long it takes, or maybe less. I'll help you unhook this problem. I can explain that. So you just there's a link on the website, on the homepage. It says I don't know what does it say, something. You'll see it. Skype chat with James or Raman Sundri or whatever it is. It's in the middle of the homepage, or just write me an email, and we'll set up I think my email address is here in the corner of the screen here, swartzjb@gmail.com. Just write me an email and we'll organize a talk, and I'll help you sort this out. I can do that. I'm qualified to do that. So yes, it's good. No, that's the service that's available here in Shining World. I mean, we want, but we don't want to. We want you to understand what the value of it is, and then you can use us. I want to be used. Listen. I'm bored with myself. I mean, not that I'm bored with myself, but I don't have anything to do really. And I'm dedicated to like offering or sacrificing or serving people. That's my karma yoga. That's the karma yoga ritual there. That's, I worship the rishis by presenting this knowledge, and I worship people by presenting this knowledge. And I'm good at it. I've got teaching vasanas that they're built in. I told you, my mother and brother were both teachers and very educated people, and I was, well educated. So here's Vidya Spandana. Hi, Vidya. I'm concerned I will merely memorize it. Yeah, well, that's absolutely right. That's a very good doubt to have, because you cannot memorize your way to, but you need to memorize it. I mean, it needs to be committed to memory, but you don't want to memorize it and just look at it like a formula and say, well, I know Vedanta, I must be free. No, Vedanta is a means for knowledge. Vedanta is not what we're but for that means to work, I have to know what it is. So and I've explained to you the steps here. So it says here, merely memorizing information like learning physics or chemistry. How does one move forward and progress rather than just memorize or learn? You keep listening and you keep implementing, and you associate. Remember, this isn't going to happen unless you associate with a teacher. So you associate with me or Sundri, and we'll make it clear. It'll work. That's all. I associated with Swami Chinmaya for 2 years. And I didn't stop after that. Then I associated with Swami Dayananda, his disciple, right? And now I associate with Swami Paramartananda, who's we're both disciples of the same gurus. He was a disciple of Chinmaya and Dayananda, and I was a disciple of Chinmaya and Dayananda. And I actually wrote him recently a letter, a physical letter. He doesn't do email or anything like that, thanking him for, his service to the tradition and to me, right? So, you got to move into this world where satsang is taking place. It's a loka, it's a world, and associate the people. Many people in this sangha are very, very knowledgeable people. You can maybe talk to some of them. We have a list there's several teachers on the website that are listed, and come to the seminars if you can, this sort of thing. This is really a big one. You can I've written a book on. You can talk to me too if you want to. But I'm basically explaining it to you now, so save your donation. But I do recommend, though, you read this book called what is it called? Existence Shining as Awareness. It's a book that I've written. It's on the website. We have digital copy. There is a hard copy too. You can get it, but it's in America. Are you American, Vidya?
Hi, Ramji. This is Vidya. The question is from my husband, Chris.
Because you can't hear me.
I can hear you.
Well, if you can't hear me, then why am I talking? Are you?
Can you hear me okay? I'm Vidya.
So
this is Chris, my husband.
I recommend this book. It's called Existence Shining as Awareness, and it deals with that topic.
Thank you.
Oh, I think your sound, I can see you speaking, but I think your sound, unmute yourself. Look at the bottom left-hand corner. There's a microphone, and you're probably muted.
Can you hear us now? Is it working?
Huh? I still can't hear you.
Okay.
Maybe it's your side then.
No.
If you connect to your computer audio, maybe you didn't sign up to.
Well, but I think other people can hear. Can you hear me, Cookie? You can hear me. Michelle, you can hear me. Sundri, huh?
Yeah, but maybe you can't hear anybody.
Well, everybody's muted. Except that no Vidya's not. Oh, hold on. We can hear. Yes, everybody says yes, they can hear.
Vidya's unmuted, but you still can't hear her. So there's something on our side.
Well, there's something. I'm sorry, Vidya. Let's see. Anyway, get that book. It's 10 euros or $10, whatever it is. Existence Shining as Awareness, because it deals with this issue. That'll help you. And if not, then call me up, Skype me or Zoom me, and set up a thing, and we'll talk about it. But basically, I'm telling you, if you avail yourself, if you commit to this tradition, then it'll all get clear. It's just a practical thing. There are many people who are watching here who've been there's one woman that she's been with me for 50 years, actually 51 years. She's been listening. And it's not that she needs it, wants anything. She definitely knows who she is, but she just loves it because it's a whole world. We're in a really beautiful world, shining world. That's what shining world means. It means a bunch of people who are radiant and sharing this themselves in the form of this teaching. So anyway, get that and we'll see. We can hear Vidya, her husband, and you, the teacher. Huh, that's interesting. Well, I don't know what it is. It's a shame. I can't see on my thing any anyway. Ramji, just you can't hear. Checks your speakers. Oh, now say something, Vidya.
Can you hear us now?
No,
Okay.
Sundari can't hear you either. She's at another workstation on the other side of the room. So anyway,
Fine.
anyway, it's okay.
I think that's done.
Okay, I think it looks like we're done. Everybody.
Just ask them about Christmas and New Year.
Oh yeah, so the next week is Christmas,
Then after New Year,
and
following Sunday.
yeah, we're not going to do it on Christmas. I mean, everybody's got family stuff to do, and maybe we'll just take a day off then. But what about New Year's? Is New Year's fall on Sunday? Does anybody want to, or shall we just call it quits on New Year's too, and assume that you're out celebrating the New Year?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Let's have it New Year's.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
please,
Cookie
Ramji.
says, yeah, take the, okay, let's take it. I see
Please.
yeah, go party, do your New Year's thing. And we'll, what do you think, Cece? Yeah, thumbs up or thumbs down for New Year's?
For New Year's
Thumbs
with
up.
you.
Oh,
With
no, we
you.
got a problem.
Ah.
Oh,
But
they do
that's
want New Year's. Oh, you do want New Year's, is that right?
Yeah, I would love
Oh,
that would be the best for
okay, I
me.
mean, what do you think? What do you want to do?
I'm fine.
You're good. Okay, Sundari's good too. Because I got a really good one for you on New Year's. It's called or maybe Sundari will do it. We'll see. But I've got one. It's called the Mundaka Upanishad. M-U-N, not Mandukya Upanishad. It's called Mundaka Upanishad.
Mundaka.
M-U-N-D-A-K-A. It's very poetic and very beautiful Upanishad. It's very simple, very elegant, and presents a yes to New Year's. Great way to start. Okay, Carolyn. Okay, thumbs up. Oh my God. Okay, you guys, back by popular demand. The Ramji and the Sundariji are back to, yeah, it's a good, you're right. It's a good way to start the new year. I hadn't thought of that. Because for me, honestly, there's absolutely no time. Time stopped like 50 some years ago, just stopped. Everything just went frozen still. Nothing's moved since that day. So these are all words, New Year's, year, old, new, these are all, and I understand that, there is the thing called time and things change, but for me, nothing changes at all. Anyway, good. So God bless you guys. And again, thank you for relieving my anxiety about my teaching, because I was thinking I must be a really third-rate teacher because nobody's helping us out. So, and now you've renewed my faith in humanity.
By the way, 1st of December.
Huh? Is it the 31st of December?
No, sorry, it's the 1st.
It's the 1st. Yeah, it's the 1st. So we're trying to get this time thing sorted out here.
Extra years there, so we'll-
I'll be there.
And we'll send a newsletter and I'll make a, you know, I'll write the lesson up like I did today. The lesson for tonight is to repeat, lesson for tonight is on the satsang section. And we'll send out the next newsletter tomorrow or the next day.
Later in the week.
Yeah, then probably Tuesday or Wednesday, something. And there you'll be able to get the text, the Swami P transcript. But it basically, anyway, it'd be nice just to get it and look through it and see, because this is part of my service. I spent a lot of time. I stayed up last night for, well, I think on Thursday or Wednesday, I spent about 3 or 4 hours on it. And then last night I stayed up till midnight working on it. And then this afternoon, it was Sundari's birthday today. So she was
Today?
a birthday girl and I had to do everything she wanted to do. And
birthday,
but we got home in time for me to spend another 2 hours. It's still your birthday, isn't it?
Yeah, to do everything I wanted you to do.
Yeah, you have to do it. I have to do everything without complaint. No arguments. But I did a good job. I think I'll ask her later if I did all right on my birthday. And then later on this afternoon, I just spent, so I probably have about 10 hours into my preparation of these things. So, you know, you're getting the wisdom of the ages cheap. So anyway, God bless you all. And we'll see you on the 31st, or the first
first.
evening with to be announced. Okay, bye.
I'll be there. I'll be there, Ramji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ramji, and happy birthday, Sundari. Happy Christmas.